At the end of 2025, the Lion Knight's Castle, Medieval Town Square, and Viking Village are all going to be retiring. And with them goes medieval army building as we know it, because when LEGO sets retire, their pieces from Pick-a-Brick do as well. So in this video, I'm going to go over all of the most important minifig parts and accessories leaving the service at the end of the year. We're going to be breaking this down by basically every single set and kind of going from one to the next, starting first with the Medieval Town Square. So in this set, there's a lot of really great minifig parts and accessories. Obviously, one of the most important ones that kind of became more important recently are all of the tax collector parts. This piece right now is really useful for combining with the Snake Knights, which just came out a few months ago. But sadly, there's not really a lot of time left to get these. The legs and the torso are both going to be retiring, which is really sad because they go so well with the new Snake Knights. I've personally been using them as like lighter soldiers for my snake army, so again, it is so sad to see this part go. This is just such a great print and it has so many different use cases, so I'm sad to see it go. And since we're right here, all of these peasant parts are going to be retiring. The Medieval Town Square gave us so many really good peasant parts, and they're all going to be gone in just a few months. I've never even ordered any of these from Bricklink, so I'm kind of scrambling to order some of these for myself. This olive green one in particular, I've used in quite a few custom minifigs, and the same goes for this dark red one, which I think just looks really nice. This tan one I've been using for a prisoner in an upcoming mock, which you're going to see in a few days from now. But yeah, it's really sad to see all these peasant parts go, and also with them, if we go back to the first page, the goat is going to be retiring. It took years to get the goat mold back, and it's going to be leaving after basically only like a year and a half, I think, on shelves, which I think is just not good. I've made it pretty clear that I'm not a huge fan of the Lion Knights, but I have always loved this shield since it first came out, and it just sucks that it's going to be leaving. Okay, moving on from the Medieval Town Square, we're now going to take a look at the Viking Village, as this doesn't have a lot of pieces retiring, but there's some really important ones that I need to mention for this video. First of all, these shields are going to be leaving, which I don't think is a big deal. These are nice shields and all, but it's not something that I really need to have in my collection. They're fine, but I don't need any more of these. The thing that I think is really sad is, most of all, the legs and torsos. The legs are great, don't get me wrong, but these torsos right here, especially this one, have been so important for LEGO Castle army builders. This one is just so versatile, you can swap out the arms and use this torso for any faction. If you're a fan of LEGO Castle, you probably already have some of these, but you don't have much time left to get them, which I think, again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but that just sucks, man. It really sucks that these are leaving. Another great torso is this one that originally came out in the Viking boat set from, I want to say, like 2022. That set is long retired, but this torso remains, and I'm just so sad to see it go, because it makes for a great like elven character, or even like a modernized version of the Forestman. If you've watched my videos before, you probably recognize this torso. And we're also losing the two new torsos that came out in this set, with the Blacksmith Dark Red one, and the really nice olive green one that works great for like a chief or a lord. The fur print around the collar just looks fantastic. I love the little necklace that he has, and the belt work design looks really nice. And then obviously this back print is just so beautiful with that kind of like, the printed deer on the back is just so pretty looking. I hate to see this torso go. And something that I didn't even realize until just now, it looks like we're also going to be losing this Viking helmet. I don't know if there's any other sets that this comes in, so I've got to actually check that right now. I believe that helmets come in a few other sets, but I'm not quite sure if they're still on shelves, so I need to check that out. Okay, so yes, it does look like, at least in the pearl dark gray color, this piece is going to be retiring, as the last set that it came in that was official is this Viking Village, which is retiring. Now obviously we did just get it in reddish brown in this set, but I don't think many people are going to have as many uses for it in brown than they would in the kind of like dark silver color. So again, that sucks. I love this helmet. There's a lot of great custom printers out there that have done a lot of great work with this piece. So that really, this just sucks, dude. I hate to see all of these pieces go, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but there is a chance that LEGO might keep some of these pieces around, but we'll get to that. Now, another piece that I wanted to check out is this helmet. This is the kind of classic Viking helmet with the holes on the side. I'm not a huge fan of this piece with the horns in it, but I really like how it looks when you remove the horns, so I'm going to be really sad if this one's also retiring. Obviously, we got this in flat silver in the 2022 boat, which I talked about earlier, but yep, it looks like we're going to be losing this piece as well, because in Pearl Dark Gray, it only came out in the Viking Village. This one, it might be the saddest one for me personally. I love how this helmet looks in Pearl Dark Gray. I've used it in a few recent mocks. I used it on my Red Dragon leader. So yeah, I hate to see this one go. That really sucks. Now, there's not too many other pieces from this that I really think I need to mention. I think we're obviously going to be losing this face print as well, which isn't a big deal to me. I was never a huge fan of it, but I know a lot of people were. Again, we're losing these dark tan legs, these dark orange ones, which I kind of hate, to be honest with you, but I really love these dark blue ones, and I've been using some of them for my modern Crown Knights that I uploaded in a recent YouTube short. I think these look great with the kind of chainmail prints on them, so yeah, that sucks to see them go. And the same is true for these dark red ones that I've used in some of my custom Wolfpack members. These parts are so nice for the Wolfpack, and that reminds me, I didn't even mention that when talking about the Medieval Town Square. Obviously, we had a pretty great year for the Wolfpack with the CMF coming out earlier this year, but that's long retired, and now these are going to be as well. The Wolfpack torso from the Medieval Town Square, I think, is a fantastic piece, so this just really stinks. I mean, this has barely been available for people, at least in the US, so I really hope LEGO at least keeps the main factions around. Again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but, we'll talk about that here in a second. Now, last but not least, we have the Lion Knight's Castle, which has the most amount of pieces that are going to be leaving. This is a really dense set, and with that, it has a lot of really unique prints and custom pieces. First of all, the bardings. So this is a horse barding if you're not familiar. It just goes on top of a horse and gives it a nice, armored look. This Black Falcon one is gorgeous. Now, I've never personally ordered any of these off of Pick-a-Brick because, as you can see, $5.50 is pretty steep. But even with that, I know a lot of people who have really bulked up on these, and before these things retire, I am definitely going to be ordering at least 2 of each for the Black Falcons, and I'm probably also going to pick up a couple for the Lion Knights. Let me try to find that here. Actually, it looks like the Lion Knights one might not be available in the US right now, which is probably not going to come back if I had to guess. If you're not familiar, those of us in the US have actually lost access to standard Pick-a-Brick because of the US tariffs, which is so stupid, but that's a totally different topic, so I'm not going to get into that here. Anyways, moving on from the bardings, all of these shields are going to be retiring. There's the 3 Lion Knight shields, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but also in this set came the kind of classic shields that they remade from the Yellow Castle. You have the green and yellow chevrons here, which I've always loved, the kind of French-inspired blue and yellow ones, and then, of course, the Crusaders one, and this one, which I don't really know what to call. These 4 shields are beautiful, but I've never ordered any extra ones from Pick-a-Brick, so I'm definitely going to be adding these ones to my cart, because they make for some great custom factions, especially this kind of French blue and yellow one. I've got a lot of ideas for this one in particular. Now, I can't find them on Pick-a-Brick right now, but there is another thing retiring from this set that I think is worth mentioning. Okay, here we go. These 2 flags are going to be retiring. If you didn't know, you could actually order these off of Pick-a-Brick, even though I couldn't find them right now. They might just not be available in the US at the minute. But anyways, these 2 flags are great. You can use them for custom Lion Knight castles, and they look gorgeous. It's some of the best printing from a modern LEGO set, especially on cloth. I feel like this just isn't something that we get so often nowadays. And we're also going to be losing the printed Lion Knight cape, which looks so gorgeous on the Queen figure. This is a cape that I've used in quite a few customs recently, and I'm just sad to see it go. I feel like we took a lot of these parts for granted after having them for, 3 years on shelves, and it's kind of hitting me now that we're going to be losing all of these pieces. One of the pieces that I'm kind of surprised is actually retiring is the kettle helmet. If you didn't know, this piece actually only comes in the Lion Knight's Castle in flat silver. So when it goes, so does this piece. So I'm going to be ordering a lot of these. The kettle helmet just works so great for crossbowmen and any kind of men-at-arms character. So I'm going to be ordering probably at least 15 to maybe 20 of these when I place my order from Pick-a-Brick here. And with the Lion Knight's Castle, we have a few other factions to look at. Obviously, we have the Forestmen, which are going to be retiring. I know they're not a fan favorite. I made a video about that recently, but again, it sucks to see these classic factions go because no matter who you are, if you're a fan of LEGO Castle, you got to appreciate these factions. Now, thankfully, this sword is not going to be retiring. This is a fan favorite ever since it came out in 2020, and thankfully it also comes in the Horse Knight's Castle, so this isn't going anywhere. Don't worry about the swords. But I think the saddest part of this, we're losing all the peasant parts, we're losing the Lion Knights, we're losing the Forestmen, we're losing the Wolfpack, that all really stinks. But obviously, the worst of all is we are losing the Black Falcons from Pick-a-Brick. The Black Falcons basically started the army building craze, like even going back to the original castle theme. These guys are the original, and it is just devastating to see them go. The Black Falcon parts have been a godsend to all fans of LEGO Castle. Now, I haven't really army builded the Black Falcons in a while, as they came out a long time ago for me. But new fans of LEGO Castle are not going to be able to army build these guys, which just sucks. These are such a beautiful faction and are really timeless, even comparing them to the Lion Knights, the Forestmen, and the Wolfpack. The Black Falcons just stand the test of time, and I really hope LEGO tries to keep these pieces on Pick-a-Brick, at least the torso and legs, and maybe the shield. And that's where I want to get to the last part of this video. Now, if you aren't aware, I actually made a YouTube short about this. It's like 30 seconds long, but in that video, somebody commented something which I thought was really interesting, so I actually pinned it to the top of the comments. This is what they said. LEGO occasionally keeps bestseller parts on Pick-a-Brick even after their sets retire. Pretty sure there are still Garmadon parts from Ninjago Legacy that retired back in 2022 but are still available on Pick-a-Brick. So I thought this was really interesting. And apparently if you look, the parts are actually still available on Pick-a-Brick. I'm not going to look for them right now, I've already checked it out myself, but that does mean that there is a precedent for some pieces staying on Pick-a-Brick even after the sets retire. So there is a chance that these parts might stick around in the future, even after the sets retire. I don't want to get my hopes up here, or yours for that matter, but let's be honest here, medieval army builders spend a lot of money on Pick-a-Brick. They are basically like the whales of the scene on Pick-a-Brick, so I wouldn't be too shocked to see LEGO keep some pieces around, like the Black Falcon torso and legs, the Lion Knights, and maybe the Wolfpack torso. Kind of the main parts that people buy in bulk. Again, that is all speculation. I don't want to say that and then get your hopes up. So take that with a grain of salt because we really can't be sure either way. Now to leave this video with a little kind of shred of hope, I want to mention this. The Bricklink Designer series makes custom sets by fans and they use parts from Pick-a-Brick, which is kind of important to note because there's a set coming out next year that actually includes some of these retiring pieces. The Outlaw Forest Den by Brickhammer is a gorgeous looking set, and it includes the CMF Wolfpack shield, and the Medieval Town Square version of the Wolfpack torso, and the Lion Knight torso and legs. Which means, even though these parts are retiring in 2025, a set next year is going to be coming out with them, so this might mean that these parts might stick around for at least 2026 on Pick-a-Brick, because of the Bricklink set, but this is so we're so in the weeds here that I don't want to say that with any level of certainty. Because they could just leave and maybe they already have the parts put aside for this set. I really don't know. If you have more information about the Bricklink Designer series and kind of how they work with parts on Pick-a-Brick, please do let me know in the comments, as I would love to hear more. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, so please do let me know in the comments what you all think about this, and if you think some of these parts might stick around even after the sets retire. And a big thank you goes out to my channel members Gyojo, Faisal, Rio Bricks, Wachtermeister, Sam, Ryzen Covers, and all of my other members for supporting videos like this one. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can find more information in the description down below. And as always, thank you all so much for watching.